In 5 minutes, we'll be joining Trevor MacDonald for News at 10. That's followed by the region's news in London tonight. There now follows a party political broadcast by the Liberal Democrats.
Good evening. Tonight's headlines. 140,000 nurses quit the NHS. We investigate why the health service is losing its lifeblood. The school repairs lottery. How children lose out because ministers think they know best. And Paddy Ashdown tells us why an opposition party can sometimes achieve more by working with the government. New figures show that 140,000 nurses have left the profession in the last 3 years. There are now 8,000 vacancies for nurses and 1,000 for midwives. Yet the government's planning a pay rise for nurses next year below the rate of inflation.
A busy general hospital. Resources are stretched to the limit and the biggest strain is on the nurses. The Conservatives failed to fund the health service properly, but then Labour came in and simply carried on with the Tories' inadequate plans. Now the government is putting a bit more money in, but not for one of the top priorities, paying nurses properly to stop them leaving.
Without more money into nurse pay packets, it will be impossible to improve the health service and give the patient care we all want to.
Last year, the government delayed the nurses' pay rise. This year, they look like being shortchanged again.
I think most nurses in the country thought new Labour, new beginnings, and that we would see a significant pay rise. Unfortunately, we've all been very, very disappointed in what the government have offered us so far.
Grateful patients know you can't get better healthcare without rewarding dedicated staff. Nurses can rely on the Liberal Democrats to campaign for them to be paid properly.
Next, another overstretched service, education. The Conservatives left a massive school repair bill behind when they lost power. Many school children have to put up with outside toilets, leaking roofs and temporary classrooms. But Labour seems to be tackling the problem the wrong way.
These classrooms were put up in 1971, temporary buildings, second-hand at the time and meant to last only a few years. They're damp, cramped and smelly and badly need replacing.
All the time the staff, the governors and the caretaker are spending time and money trying to keep these buildings up together. They have not got time and money to spend on the children, so they must lose out.
To provide decent conditions for children like these, councils have to make bids to the government. So far, 3/4 of these have been rejected. Without seeing the state of these schools firsthand, bureaucrats in London frequently overturn local priorities. The government's forcing councils into an unfair lottery for school repairs. However often they play, there's no guarantee they'll win, and it wastes time and money. But school governors who dislike the system can count on the support of the Liberal Democrats, who want the government school repairs lottery scrapped.
The Liberal Democrats have provided by far the most effective opposition to the government's failure to fund health and education properly. But in other areas, they've worked with Labour ministers on a cabinet committee. And now Paddy Ashdown's proposing to expand its role. I asked him whether there wasn't a contradiction here.
No, and most ordinary people I meet greatly welcome the new style of politics that we're trying to bring in. They think it's just common sense. You know, the Tories did terrible damage to this country, to our health and our education system. And I'm afraid Labour have not put that right with anything like the speed that people hoped. So we'll oppose them. We'll press them to do that, right and proper too. But in other areas where they're bringing government closer to the people, where they're giving us a more modern system of government, where we agree, we'll work with them.
But aren't you losing your independence as a party?
No, and that's exactly why we voted against the government's programme, because we think it let down the disabled, elderly, hospital patients, school children. For the first time now, Liberal Democrat votes really count. It's the Conservatives who've been made completely irrelevant. Our ideas are now coming through into the policies of the government. And at the same time, we're ending that awful yah-boo, punch-and-judy style of politics that I think has done us so much damage in the past.
And that's all from this edition of News from the Liberal Democrats. Good night.
To join the Liberal Democrats, please call us on 0171 227 1234. Lines are open until midnight. Or you can write to us at Free Post, London SW1P 3BR.
That was a party political broadcast by the Liberal Democrats.